Hello and welcome to The Nice Knit, a podcast where we talk about knitting, and it's nice. Today we're going to talk about everything that I have cast onto in the last couple of months, but have not completed. So this is going to be, I want to say that it's going to be a quick little WIP update, but it's not going to be quick or little because I'm a little bit crazy and have cast onto quite a few things in the past month. So a little story time before we get into the literal line of WIPs in front of me. When I need some dopamine, the thing that I like to do to get some quick dopamine is to cast on to a new project. And February and March are always like a really hard time of the year for me because it's really busy with work and school stuff. March is usually spring break, so I'm like going through all that grading, all the prepping the students, a lot of anxiety of my own and of the students that I'm getting ready to test for midterms. But also the time of the year where it's just like dark, it's cold, it's depressing. When I go to work, it's dark. When I leave work, it's dark. When I'm out with my horse, it's dark and I'm cold. So my mental health isn't the best ever during February and March. And so this year, as a knitter with access to quite a lot of yarn and some sales at Joann's, I went a little crazy. And so what I did when I was feeling down, or like when I got back from work and I was just like brain dead, but I needed a hit of dopamine, I would just grab a yarn and start a new project. And while I'm feeling much better mentally because it's getting nicer outside, you can see the sun's out today, I'm sitting in my bedroom because I wanted to sit in the sun. And I'm quickly losing the sun from this window, but I just wanted to be in the sun. But even then, I'm still like kind of like dopamine casting on to new things, and I'm okay with it, but I also like want all of these items, so I'm really hoping that I can shift gears pretty soon from doing like new cast-ons and new projects to actually finishing the projects that I have started. Some people are not like this. I actually went to my first knitting group yesterday, and it was, first of all, I was really nervous to go. I don't know why. Like, knitters are cool. And there was also spinners there and people doing crochet, and it was also a like food donation for charity kind of event. So it was very cool. But where was I going with this? Oh, I was talking to some knitters who were saying that like, oh yeah, their motivation is in the project finishing. Like, they get the hit of dopamine from finishing a project. I really don't. Like, I'm happy to have it done, but I feel like I get the energy and the dopamine from, or the serotonin. I'm not a science person, so I don't know what the actual like hormone or whatever it is, but I get that excitement, that hit of dopamine from starting a new project. And then when I finish a new project, I'm kind of just like, oh, on to the next. And so like, it always surprises me talking to them. They're like, oh yeah, I only do one project at a time because I like the excitement for me is getting the project done. And I'm not like that at all. I think it would be cool if I were like that. Like, I would love to just like have the motivation, like start, work on, and finish a project, but that's just not who I am. If you are a one project person, let me know. If you're a what they call a non-monogamous project person, crocheter, knitter, whatever, let me know as well, so that I know that I'm not just here by myself a little crazy with I have 9 works in progress in front of me right now, and these aren't even all my WIPs. These are just the new ones, which is a little nuts. And these are the ones that, some of them are a little older. You have seen some of these before if you're not new to the podcast. If you're new, welcome. I'm happy you're here. But I didn't include anything that's a work in progress that I haven't really touched in 2025. Really, these are all things that I have touched and been actively working on in the last 2 months. Anyways, the knitting group was really fun. I'm definitely going to go again. I really enjoyed like just sitting down and knitting for a couple of hours and chatting with people who like knitting and want to talk about knitting, which was really cool. That's one of the reasons I started this podcast, was so I could just like talk about my knitting to you all. So very cool. But yeah, so I have cast on to in recent months, or have been actively working on 9 different projects, and I have plans. Now I say that I think I'm okay. I think I'm at a point where I'm gonna stop dopamine cast-ons. Like, I'm feeling pretty good. I think I have everything on needles. God, I hope so. I have everything on needles that I want for myself, or like was really like itching to make. But I do have some upcoming cast-ons that are like planned projects that I have deadlines for. So there will be more WIPs coming soon, but those are actually like strategically planned with deadlines. And like I went through the process of figuring out what yarn I wanted to use and all of that. So, but that's a little different. And now I'm just rambling. It's been a couple of weeks since I sat down and just chatted with the camera, and I've noticed that when I take a break, I have an even harder time telling a story of any kind in a linear fashion. Like, I think I get out of practice talking to the camera, like monologuing, and then when I sit down to do it again, I'm like, oh my God, I have 20 things to tell you, and I want to tell you them all at the same time, which means that you get no full story of any of them. So, you know, if you didn't know, I have ADHD, and this is me. All right, so let's just dive into it. We're gonna start with the most recent cast on. This is the thing that I literally cast onto it last night. So I went to Joann's again. I need to stop going to Joann's, but I specifically went to Joann's to pick up fabric to make a couple of dresses for my niece. She loves dresses with like the flowy like tulle or like mesh, and she loves purple, and they had some like, I really don't know what the fabric is called, but it's like maybe I'll just go grab it. Or it's story time today. All right, got my big old Joann's bag here. So I did just grab some purple tulle, because tulle is super cheap, if you didn't know. It's like $1.99 a yard normal price, and then it's like 60% off at Joann's since they're closing. But like this kind of fabric that's got like, it's like tulle, but it has like embroidered things on it. These are flowers. They're not embroidered, but they're little flowers. This one has like beads and flowers. And then this one is embroidered flowers. So I picked up all of those, and also another thing of fabric for me, because I didn't have enough for a project that I was working on. But anyways, this is not the point of this episode. But while I was there, they brought out more yarn, and specifically they brought out like the knit and crochet. Let me get back in my comfortable. So I did not go to Joann's to buy yarn. I went to Joann's specifically to buy that specific fabric for my niece, but they brought out like 3 boxes of this yarn. This is the knit and crochet essential cotton. It's just 100% cotton. This is in the colorway Gulf Side. And if you know me in real life, you know that here, let me grab them so you can see it without the shiny. I love this color. This is one of my favorite colors. Like, I am really drawn to this color, especially in the summer. This is like my summer color. And also it's the color that, like, when friends and family buy me things like cups, mugs, anything like that, this is usually the color they get it for me, because they know that I love this color. I mean, I'm wearing a version of this color right now. Yeah, I love this color. And so I could not pass it up. It was also I got 6 skeins of it, and it was like between 20 and 30 bucks. Like, it was pretty cheap for 6 skeins, and I think 6 skeins are going to be plenty for what I am doing. However, I am tempted to go back and buy more of this, because it's that mindset of like, well, once it's gone, and I'm having a hard time the marketing around closing a store is working. But I kind of want more of this, because I want accessories, like even some crocheted accessories in this color, because I just love this color, and I'm actually enjoying working with this cotton. Okay, now that I've rambled thoroughly, let's get into what I'm making. So I picked this up yesterday and then got home, and I already knew immediately what I was going to make. And so I cast it on to an improvised t-shirt situation. I think I might do either like I can't think of what it's called, like the sleeves that are just, cap sleeve. I might just do a little cap sleeve situation, or I might do a slightly longer like tee situation. Sorry, I just bumped you. But this is what I have so far. And it's going to be kind of hard to show because I can't find my like longer circular 5mm knitting needles. So I have them on like, I think this is like a 16-inch maybe, or a 9-inch. I think it's a 16-inch. But I'm currently hunting for those. But this is the start of what is going to be a knitted t-shirt. And I'm pretty excited about this. I have learned that I am a very tight knitter. And so the reason that I never get gauge on final projects, like I get gauge in a gauge swatch, but then when I do the project, I just knit so much tighter than I did when I was knitting my gauge swatch. So I've learned I need to go up like a needle size in order to get gauge on a final project. And so even though I was planning on knitting this in like a 4mm, I decided just to knit it in a 5mm so I could get the more drapey fabric that I would get with a 4mm. I have knit with this yarn before. My Serene sweater, or my Serene tee, I'll put a picture up here, that I frogged is in the white colorway of this exact yarn, but I knitted it on 4mm needles, and it was very annoying to knit. It was very hard on my hands. It was very tight. I didn't like working with it. So I just bumped up to a 5mm, just cast on as many stitches as I thought looked good, looked like enough for a neckline, and I wanted it a little bit wider than my normal like sweater necklines. And then I'm just knitting it as a raglan. I did short rows for a little over an inch, and then I called it good. And we're just gonna do a raglan. When it gets to where I think it's long enough, I'm gonna split for sleeves, knit the body, and just make a t-shirt out of it. But I love the way the fabric feels so far. Like, it is super like airy because I'm knitting it with a 5mm, and this yarn recommends a 3.75mm. So I'm really happy with the way the fabric is turning out. It's gonna be pretty airy, and I'm hoping it's gonna be a good summer wear as like if I need to be slightly more professional in a t-shirt but still kind of cool. I hope this works. So I'm really excited about this. This was a absolute impulse cast on, but when I saw this yarn, I knew immediately what I wanted from it. I would also love to make a tank top out of this yarn, but I do think a t-shirt is going to be more suitable for me in a heavier weight cotton, because I feel like a tank top is just going to like pull down, where a t-shirt at least has a little bit more like fabric up here to help, you know, keep the drape. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. But anyways, very excited about this. Yes, folded over neckline. I just did probably, I don't have my measuring tape readily accessible, but I would say this is a little less than an inch. So probably knit 1.5 inches in 1x1 ribbon and folded it over. I also did double knitting in the middle so that it would have a little squishier neckline. I don't know that I needed to do that, but I did it just because that's what I've been doing on some of my other sweaters, so why not? But yeah, I'll keep you posted on this. I'm pretty excited, and it's one of the, I really love knitting raglans because it's one of those mindless things for me. I have done the short rows enough, I have done the raglan increases enough that I can do this without looking. I can do this without any like brain work, but it's interesting enough that it keeps me excited. The part that I always stop or hesitate on or struggle to get through is going to be the body and the sleeves. Like, I like the change here, but I've knit enough of these like necklines that I'm pretty comfortable with them. So I really enjoyed this. So now I've got through the short rows, got a couple rows of raglan increases in, and I'm just going to keep chugging away on this as I feel like it. So that's project number 1. I'm calling that my Gulf Side tee because this yarn is Gulf Side. That's the colorway, and I like that. So we're going to call it my Gulf Side tee. And I have, I got 6 skeins of this yarn, and then there is so much more from the same dye lot at Joann's. I may go back and pick up some more just so I have it on hand if I do want to make a tank top, or if I want to do something like make a bag or some kind of accessory with it. But that is the most recent cast on, unplanned, absolute impulse, getting so much dopamine from that right now, let me tell you. My second is baby sweater number 1. there are so many people in my life that are gonna pop out some kids in the next like 12 months. So I'm gonna be probably knitting a lot of baby sweaters. A, because I like knitting baby sweaters, and B, because I want to give them some gifts, and because I like knitting baby sweaters, might as well knit them. And really, I'm just knitting like teeny tiny versions of the sweaters that I knit for myself. I am using a pattern. So actually, let me back up. So this is baby sweater number 1. This is going to be for my nephew, who is going to be, I was gonna say earth side, but I don't know that that's I mean, technically he's already an earth side. But anyways, my sister is having a baby in May, and so this little sweater is going to be for him. I am knitting it using, it's either Plymouth or Plymouth, I don't know. It's this yarn in Dream Baby DK. It's 50% acrylic microfiber and 50% nylon. I don't generally like working with acrylic. I actually really like this yarn. Like, it feels like knitting with like a superwash merino. It's very nice. I like it. It is a little bit more drying than like a wool yarn is, but that's to be expected. But really enjoy working with this yarn. It is colorway 173. That's not the name of it. That's just the number. Online they have names, but on the skein they don't. But I am really loving this yarn, and I'm loving how it's knitting up. And I'm knitting this in a size, either a size 1 to 2 or a 2 to 3. I can't remember which one. And I'm using Petite Knit's Monday Sweater Junior pattern. And I really like, this is the same pattern that I used for the next sweater that I'm going to show you, another kid's sweater. But yeah, I'm very excited about this. I'm calling it baby sweater number 1, as I said, because I am going to knit at least 2 more. I have 2 other people that I really want to knit baby sweaters for. And then there's another person that I may knit a baby sweater for, but it kind of depends on if I have enough time. And I might knit her that baby sweater and then give it to her in the fall, since she's not going to be putting her baby in the sweater in the spring. So, or in the summer when she has said baby. So we'll see. But yeah, baby sweater number 1, again, Petite Knits Monday Sweater Junior. Using that pattern just because I liked the way it looked on the kids in the photos. So yeah, and I really like the pattern. I have no complaints. I'm enjoying that. This is the main thing that I worked on while I was at my knitting group I say my knitting group, the knitting group that I went to for the first time yesterday. This is what I worked on most of the time because it is so mindless. Still doing raglan increases. I think I have like half an inch left maybe before I split for sleeves and do the little body. But still working on that. And then sweater number 3, or item number 3, which almost all of these are, well, about half of these are sweaters. So this is the sweater that I'm making for my niece. And I've gotten quite a bit farther in the last, couple of weeks than I thought I would get. But I have bound off here at the bottom. I don't know if you can see. I have bound off here at the bottom, and I have started working on the left sleeve. I followed the Monday Sweater Junior pattern from Petite Knit. In this one I knitted with sorry, I don't know if you can hear Theo drinking in the background. This one I knitted with the needle size recommended by the pattern. The baby sweater number 1 for my nephew is knit with the size bigger, because this is when it really sunk in. When I was knitting this is when it really sunk in that I'm a very tight knitter. Every time I've knit anything, I always have to adjust the pattern halfway through, especially if I'm doing a raglan sweater. I always have to knit much longer than they say to knit. It dawned on me that it's because every single time I knit so damn tight that I have to adjust, because my gauge is always tighter in the actual garment than it is on my swatch. And I actually swatched for this and I met gauge. And so when I knit, so I did this one and I just made adjustments to make it fit the measurements that she was looking for in the pattern. But then when I did my baby sweater number 1, I just went up a needle size, and I still think I'm knitting tight enough that I'm under gauge slightly, but I am much closer to gauge, and I do like the way that fabric is. This is a little thick. I imagine Nat will use this mostly as a sweatshirt, not necessarily as a sweater just to wear, where I feel like this baby sweater that I'm knitting and the future baby sweaters, these are going to be more like wearable as shirts because they're a lot less dense. The fabric itself is a lot more airy and lightweight because it's knitted on bigger needle size. So I'm excited about that. I'm glad that that was a lesson that I learned. And it's also the reason that when I did this t-shirt, this t-shirt, that I upped my needle size bigger than I even thought that I needed to go, because I always like am a little conservative with going up a needle size, and I think I need to be more liberal and just like go for it, go for a bigger needle size. Worst case scenario, if I don't like the fabric, I can rip back and redo it. This is also a Plymouth or Plymouth yarn in lavender, and then I used another colorway of that same yarn to do a mosaic flower motif across, and I just improvised it. I just made sure that I could fit the motif 3 times on here and then just like wung it. I just went for it to see if I could make it work. I think it did work. I'm hoping it'll look less textured when I block it, but I'm okay if it doesn't, because again, this is just a Natalie sweater. And honestly, even if I was wearing this sweater, I don't think I would mind the texture, because it's not like super, super textured, but you can see that like the dominant color versus the background color, there is a little bit of a texture there. But that's Natalie's sweater. I should have that done pretty soon. I'm probably going to, even though I'm going to give it to her for her birthday this summer. However, like I'm aware that she's not going to be super excited about a sweater probably, even though it is purple. And she has seen me knitting it, but I don't know that she's old enough to connect like me knitting and then I made this for her. And even then, like it, I don't expect her to understand or even appreciate it. Like I'm okay with that. It's really for me. But I'm also hopefully going to have time to make her like a knitted or a crocheted like amigurumi stuffed animal kind of thing, so that I can have something to give her that like she will actually really want to like play with and enjoy, where this is more like a, hey, I made you this sweater, this is really for me, like I gifted it because I wanted to, not because it's something you necessarily wanted kind of thing. But I'm excited about that. Baby sweaters and kids sweaters go so fast that like I could get 10 of these done in the time it takes me to knit one of my sweaters, just because they're so much smaller. They're so much smaller. So that was number 3. That's Nat's sweater. And then I learned how to crochet. And by learn how to crochet, I mean I learned how to chain and I learned how to single crochet. And I'm using that knowledge to make a bag. And this is what I have so far of a bag. This is obviously the bottom of the bag. And then I'm single crocheting to get it all the way up to bag shape. I am following a Viv Crochets tutorial on YouTube called Simple Crochet Bag Tutorial. And she is an excellent teacher. I haven't crocheted since I was a little kid, so really I've never learned how to properly crochet, and I've never really crocheted anything of substance. I think I was like 6 maybe the last time that I really crocheted. And so this was a really good place to start. Like I really enjoyed this. When I need a break from knitting, or like I just want to do like one row of something, I will pick this up. And again, it's just single crochets. The hardest thing was chaining, getting the right amount, and then doing the first few rows of single crochet on that chain. But yeah, Viv Crochets, highly recommend that tutorial. But yeah, I am knitting a bag, and I'm just using, this is Peaches and Cream, 100% cotton. I got a bunch of this in a big bag of yarn that I got from Goodwill. And so I had a bunch of this. It's not my favorite color. It's not my favorite yarn, but I thought, you know what? I'll just make a bag out of it, just for fun. Why not? Usually I actually use this yarn to like hold my stitches when I'm knitting raglan sweaters, but I was like, you know what? I have enough of that to make a bag out of it. Why don't we just do it? So I'm crocheting a bag. This will be my first if I finish it, this will be my first crochet project. So I'm pretty excited about that. It has also been a little bit of a gateway drug to thinking I could crochet other things, because now I'm like, okay, well, actually crochet is quite easy. I thought it would be more difficult. I mean, there's a lot more stitches I need to learn, but I thought like even the just entry would be hard. And so now I'm like, I think I could crochet some other things too, which is another reason why I'm thinking about picking up more of this yarn, because I could crochet some things. I could crochet some bags or some accessories with this yarn. And I think I would really like that. But yeah, so first crochet project, Viv Crochets, big fan. Never watched her channel before, but this is the first video that I've ever watched. But she has such a soothing voice. She explains things so simply. Yeah, really, really enjoyed that. And I am subscribed to her channel now, and I'm excited to watch more of her videos and learn more about crochet from her. And then the next thing, I've been working on this for a little bit. Those of you who are not new to the channel have seen this before. This is my unicorn t-shirt. Let me see. It goes this direction, I think. Yeah, this is my unicorn t-shirt. I am knitting this with a knit and crochet sock yarn. And I want to say it's called like Unicorn Swirl is the colorway. I originally bought this yarn to knit socks out of it, but I decided that I had enough. Why not just attempt to make a t-shirt? This is a fingering weight, and I believe it's a light fingering weight yarn. So it's going to take me forever to finish knitting this. And I'm probably going to do a crop t-shirt, probably a little shorter than this t-shirt I'm wearing now. But I really like it. I think it's really pretty. I love the way the fabric feels. It is a merino and nylon blend, so it's going to be warmer than like a cotton. However, it's so lightweight, and I don't know, it's moisture wicking still. It'll be fine. I'm not even overthinking this. I don't know why I'm talking like I am, but I'm really excited for this. But it's one of those things that I just pick it up, work on it for a little while. It's really easy on the hands because it's fingering weight using slightly larger needles. It's been fairly easy. This is the project I usually work on when I'm in a meeting because it's so small and I can do it for the most part without looking or with only looking down a couple of times. And it like fits in a small bag. So this is my like in meetings at work project. So I haven't worked on it in the last couple of weeks, but when I had a lot of meetings or events that I had to go to and just like sit, this is what I was working on. I am using, or I'm following James Watt's rib lace raglan pattern. I believe that's what it's called. I'll link it below, but I'm not doing any of the ribbing or the lace. So I'm just using basically his measurements for the tee, and then I'm going from there. And I'm glad I did that because I think if I ever knit the rib lace raglan with the lace motif and like the eyelets, I think I'd like to do that in a solid color because I think that would show up better and like really highlight the pattern, where this yarn is beautiful on its own, and I think just a stockinette stitch does a really good job just like showing it in all of its glory. So that's that. This is my little swatch from it. This was my attempt to do the lace, and it worked out, especially this like bottom piece down here. I was kind of able to get it, but I just decided that it was too busy, and I really liked the idea of just having a solid t-shirt to wear. And by solid I mean non-lace, not solid as in color. So excited about that. And that's number 5. Number 6 is my February socks. I am fully aware that it is April. I'm okay with that. My February socks, I put them down for a long time and I didn't touch them. And this is where I started to realize, this was like the beginning of starting to think that maybe I knit tighter. Oh, I'm sorry, honey, you can go around. I think I was trying to get to my pillow on my bed, and I've made quite the obstacle course for him in the process. This is when I started to realize that maybe I'm a very tight knitter but like it didn't sink in until knitting the baby sweaters. But I realized that when I'm knitting with the needle size recommended by the pattern, that it's very, very tight and it's kind of hard on my hands. And so I am following, for my February socks, the Socksplorations Shadow Wrap Heel pattern. And I'm using Peyton's Croy Mid-Century Stripes sock yarn. And I'm knitting them 2 at a time on separate needles. It's working out great. I'm enjoying the process. However, like, I did go through a phase where I just really did not enjoy knitting on these because the needles are so small. I think these are a size, yeah, these are a size 1 or 2.25 millimeter. And I just, like, I really liked knitting these socks, and I knit them with like a size 2 or a size 3 knitting needle. And I realized I just knit so tight, especially when I have small needles, that it makes it more uncomfortable for me to knit, which is why it's been so hard to finish these. But I have knitted, might not look like it, but I have knitted about an inch more than the last time I showed these on the channel. And while I was at knitting group yesterday, I did probably half an inch more on these, and I realized something else. So I realized that the small needle size is probably not my ideal sock knitting needle size. A 2 is probably my ideal sock knitting size. I don't mind a more airy sock, or like sock fabric, so I don't necessarily need to knit it on this small of needles, and I also don't enjoy the process as much. But what I also learned or remembered was that it does take a little bit when you're used to knitting on bigger needles on like sweater projects or like hat projects, that when you switch back to like a sock project on small needles, it can take a minute for like that muscle memory to kick in and for you to be able to like relax into it. I feel like at first I'm always very stiff as I'm doing it, just because I'm out of practice of knitting on such small needles with such small yarn. So after knitting like several rows of this, I started to get in a groove and remember why I love sock knitting so much. And then also talking to all the lovely knitters about like their sock patterns. Like I was near some prolific sock knitters. One of the gals said that she has knit 30 pairs of socks in a year before. And I think she said around 10 pairs of socks in 1 month, because she does she knits socks for Pride Month as part of like a charity. And I was blown away. And this gal that was sitting adjacent to me was knitting socks on DPNs. And she was talking about she's like come up with her own vanilla sock. This gal over here was knitting, she was the one who knits a lot of socks, and she knits them 2 at a time on the same needles. And she has her own like vanilla sock pattern that she follows. And so it really like remotivated me to knit socks, and also reminded me like why I like sock knitting and why socks are cool. And it made me want to like really work on my own vanilla sock pattern, so that when I do want socks, I know exactly what heel I'm going to do, how long I'm going to knit the cuff, like what kind of toe am I going to do, what size of needle do I need, and just go from there with my own like vanilla sock pattern. So I now have learned that size 1 needles are too small for me, but so far I like this pattern. I haven't actually got to the heel yet. The shadow wrap heel is a new heel construction for me, so I'm kind of excited to get there. I am not going to knit the cuffs as long as she recommends in the pattern. It sounds to me like, because it says knit and stockinette for 6 inches. What I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to do 6 inches from the cuff down to where I start instead of from the bottom of the cuff, I'm going to go from the top of the cuff down in 6 inches. And I think that's going to be the perfect length for me. And then I'm going to start the heel, which I'm nervous and excited to do the shadow wrap heel. So remotivated to do these, have been working on them, getting somewhere, nice and slowly. I would get there faster if I didn't have 8 other active WIPs, but you know, we don't need to talk about that. It's fine. Let me get these back in here without stabbing myself. Okay. That's the other thing about really small needles, is you stab yourself more when you have really thin metal needles. So those are my February socks. I have started some socks for March. So I'm only doing 1 at a time because I don't have 2 of this same size of needle. I am knitting my March socks are DK weight vanilla socks from Crazy Sock Lady Designs, but I am knitting them in Peyton's Evermore, which is an Aran weight yarn. And so like also having some issues with it. It's such a dense fabric that I'm not enjoying the process so much, but I did get through. I just did a regular heel flap and gusset here because that's what she recommends in the pattern. And I do like when I put this on my foot, I do really like the fabric. Like I think it's going to be a really warm pair of socks to wear in the winter. It's also more of a neutral color, so I can wear this when I am like at work, and when you can see my socks still, it'll still blend in kind of with the overall outfit. But I really like this yarn. I actually think that I may get a sweater or like make a sweater out of this yarn because I love the little, I don't know if I can't tell what you can see on here, but hopefully this is like focusing. But I love the little like flecks of pink and blue and black that's through this. I just think it's beautiful. And I like the way the fabric feels. So I may make a sweater out of this one of these days, but it's not a top priority. Also, I'm pretty sure that Peyton's Evermore is going to stick around for a while as a brand. And so I'm less like, I don't feel the urgency to cast onto a sweater or buy a sweater quantity of this yarn because I know I'm gonna be able to buy it at other places, where like the knit and crochet, once Joann's is gone, I probably won't have access to any of this yarn. And you'll see that as a theme as we move forward. But yeah, so these are my March socks. I have one 3/4 of the way done, working on the foot and then going to do the toe, and then I need to knit the other one. But yeah, happy with this. I did want to knit a heavier weight sock this year. So this will satisfy that goal once I get done with that, but that's my March socks. I have not started April socks. I would like to finish at least one of these socks before I start my April socks. Again, I don't know if I'm going to make it all the way to 12 socks this year. I'm going to try, but I'm also not like I don't feel like I'm going to fail, or I don't feel like I failed if I don't get to 12 socks this year, because I'm really a knit based on vibes kind of girl, less of a knit based on goals kind of girl. So when the vibe calls to knit socks, I'll knit more socks. When the vibe, as of right now, is calling to knit t-shirts and sweaters, I'm gonna knit t-shirts and sweaters. So that was number 7, my March socks. Number 8 is my cotton candy sweater, and I have gotten quite a bit farther on this. Well, okay, I thought I did. I've gotten farther on this than the last time that I showed it on the channel. And let me see. I didn't do like a lot of short row shaping here, so it's hard to tell which is the back and which is the front, which is okay. I think it's something like that. But this is what we've got. I did the stripes. I'm very happy with how the stripes turned out. Yeah, I'm in love with this sweater. I'm so excited to have it. I have not been working on it lately just because of that, like the new cast on dopamine hit. And I'm in the body of this sweater now, and the body, it's so monotonous when you're just knitting in one color, you're just doing stockinette stitch, and you're knitting it for several inches. So I'm less inclined to work on this. This is more something that I pick up when I just want something monotonous, like when I just need something that I can just like zone out and like pay attention to something else and just keep going. This would be my like work meeting cast on if it wasn't quite chunky and harder to transport. But I do love the way the like rainbow motif turned out. I'm gonna cover my mic so you'll be muffled, but look at that. I'm really excited. So yeah, I'm excited to have this done, but I'm not also like in a huge hurry for it. I'm just excited to have all the yarn. And I really like how that rainbow motif turned out. And it really makes me want to knit one where like it starts pink, we go through the rainbow, but then when we hit the purple just continues. And so I might knit another one of these, and I might knit one where it's all of these colors in larger stripes and there's no like dominant or main color. Because I have a lot of different colors of this specific. This is the Knit and Crochet Cloud Paca yarn, and I have several colors of that. But yeah, haven't been working on this in the last month, but I did spend a lot of time on this in like February and the beginning of March. So I am excited to get that done. It's just not been the thing that I have been knitting heavily. What I really wanted to knit about that was those stripes. I learned how to knit jogless stripes on that one. Pretty excited about that. And then finally we have my gray sweater, which I have been working on, but I hit a roadblock, and I am struggling with it. So this is one where I intentionally set it down and walked away because I was getting really frustrated. So I knit, and there's several things. Like, I love this sweater. I blocked it to figure out if, like, how much it was going to stretch, if the length and the fit were going to be good. I'm going to cover up my mic again so you can kind of see. But I really wavered about how long to make the body and where to start the hem. And I don't know, I started the hem and then I blocked the sweater because I was panicking. And then I decided I didn't like it because it was too short. And so then I knitted it again, thought that it was a good length, knit the hem, and then I'm going to stop there and then I'll tell you that part in a minute. But I'm still uncertain if I like the length of the sweater. So that one is just like a personal, I just need to spend some time away from it and then come back and put it on with the clothing I'm planning on wearing it with, which is my, police officer just drove by. Anyways, wow, that was a butterfly moment. So I don't know about the length. That's a personal choice. I plan on wearing this at work, and I tend to need to wear more cropped shirts at work because I wear really high-waisted dress pants, and so the cropped looks better, especially if I'm not planning on tucking it in, which I don't want to tuck this in because it's just a lot of fabric to tuck in. So in that case, a cropped sweater is good, but I just need to make sure that when I like raise my hands up, it's not too cropped, because while I don't mind a good crop top moment outside of work, when I am at work, I don't want to raise my hands and show my belly, especially because I write on the board a lot. I teach statistics, so I've got like my arm way up in the air half the time, and so you can really see skin if you've got too much of a crop. So that's one thing that I'm like meh on. I still need to make decisions. It is something that I can fix later, but I would like to just get this taken care of. The next is how I bound off. So I don't know if you can see, it is lettucey. It looks like lettuce at the bottom, just slightly. Maybe I'm being dramatic, I don't know. I have not blocked this last several inches, so this could come out. This could come out and be nice and flat, but I'll tell you what happened and what I'm leaning towards doing. So, are you okay, buddy? You okay? It scare you? Okay, you wanna come up here? Come up here. Yeah, you're okay. I know. Theo is getting a haircut today. It's been kind of chilly, so I didn't want to cut all of his winter coat off just yet, but it's now starting to get like routinely in the 50s, and he is a fuzzy boy, so I need to give him a haircut. So he is constantly hot. So if you can hear him panting in the background, I apologize. After I film this video, I am trimming him. That's the next item on my to-do list for today. But anyway, so I followed the pattern. I got to the end of the 1x1 ribbing, and the pattern has you do an Italian bind off. I have never at this point done an Italian bind off, and honestly, I was very confused. My advice, if you've never done an Italian bind off, is to not do an Italian bind off with two yarns held together. I think that adds an extra element of difficulty because alpaca, especially this like Surrey alpaca or like the second strand of yarn, is very sticky, which makes it really difficult to like pull it through without it getting tangled. And I think I was pulling too tight because I didn't understand the purpose of an Italian bind off. Like, and it's just supposed to be kind of an extension of that knitting, and it's supposed to make it look more like a rolled, I was gonna say cuff, but like a rolled edge, and it's stretchy, but only if you like loosely pull it through and make it more like an extension of your knitting rather than like tying it off, which is like what I was doing. I was pulling really hard because I didn't know. But I also had a really hard time, and part of the reason I was pulling so hard was because I was holding that fiber with, like, it was a Surrey and the alpaca mohair blend. And so, oh, and it's okay. You want to go? Here, you can go. So I only got a couple of inches before I realized that it was going to be way too tight. Like it wasn't stretchy at all. It was going to be really uncomfortable on. And so I ripped it back, which was very difficult, by the way. I ripped it back and then I just did my regular, I apologize if you can hear Theo barking, but I just did my regular stretchy bind off. I didn't purl at all. I didn't do like a purl side bind off of any kind. And so now I've got this like lettucey hem at the bottom. Do I hate the way it looks? No. Is it what I was going for? Also no. So I am tempted to just rip the bind off out and then redo the Italian bind off using the petite knit pattern or petite knit tutorial for an Italian bind off, which I used for Natalie's sweater, instead of using the Adorable Knits Italian bind off. I want to clarify, the Adorable Knits Italian bind off tutorial is good. I just don't think it was what my brain needed. Like she walks it through very simplistically, but I think doing that for the first time and doing it with more difficult yarn to deal with was why I struggled so much. And then by the time I got to the petite knit tutorial, I had already seen Italian bind off once and I was using much easier yarn to handle. And so I can't say which tutorial is better because I didn't test them independently of one another. I like watched one, failed at it because of the yarn, and then watched a different one for a different pattern and it made sense. I don't know which is better. So I'm probably, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think I should just rip it back and redo that one bind off edge? Will it block out, do you think? Do you think it'll block out and not be weird looking and not be lettucey? Do you think I should just block it right now and see how it looks before deciding to rip back the edge? I don't know. I haven't started on the sleeves. And like I keep telling myself, well, you could just do the sleeves and then decide. But I just feel like this is such a like elephant in the room situation that I can't just ignore it and move on to the sleeves, because I just, frankly, I just don't want to knit the sleeves until I make a decision about this. So maybe I am leaning towards just blocking it, seeing how it looks, how it feels blocked, seeing the length blocked, and then moving on to the sleeves. But you let me know. What do you think? Do you think I need to fix the hem? Do you think I should pull back the stretchy bind off I did and replace it with the Italian bind off? Do you think I should block it? I could really use your help because I'm really excited to have this sweater, but frankly a little disgusted with it at the moment, which is why I also think I just need some space from it. I think it's a little too raw. But yeah, a little bit lettucey on that hem. So, but it is stretchy. And it really doesn't look lettucey when it's on. I don't know. But that, yeah. You let me know what you think. I'm, besides the hem, obsessed with that sweater. Love the way it fits. Love the way it feels. Love the color. I really love this pattern. Like, really love this pattern. Yeah, that's all I got. Okay, so that is, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but that is the 9 works in progress that I have been actively working on over the last couple of months. I have learned some things about myself. Knitting this many projects, I feel like, and especially because a lot of these are top-down raglans, I have learned so much by just doing a lot of, like, I've done so many yokes now and so many like short row shaping necklines that I feel like I've like leveled up in my knitting skills. So throughout this process, I just want to talk about a few things that I've learned. The first is I've learned Italian bind off, which we just covered on. I learned how to do Italian bind off properly. And I feel like now if I did rip back and do this again, I could do it correctly, and it would be harder than the other sweater because of that Surrey alpaca that I'm holding with it. But I think I have the skills now to do it properly. I have learned how to do jogless stripes, like how to knit a jogless stripe, which excites me endlessly. I have learned about my knitting. I am a tight knitter, and so now I can approach future projects with that knowledge, knowing that I probably just need to move up a needle size when I knit anything. Even if I'm getting engaged in a gauge swatch, I should probably just move up a needle size, because I always knit tighter when I'm actually knitting the full item. I have also learned that I don't actually hate working with cotton. I just hate working with cotton on small needles because I'm a tight knitter. Is there anything else that I've learned in this process? Oh, I'm getting better just overall at seeing a fiber, feeling a fiber, and like figuring out what I think it would be good for. Like, I feel like I'm spending less time on Ravelry, seeing what other people have done, and I'm starting to be able to like figure out what I need for me or what I would like, without having to go and like rely on a pattern or other people to do so, which is a very cool like level up moment. And a lot of these things are, if not completely improvised in some way, shape, or form, which is really cool, because at the beginning of this year, I never thought I would be able, that's a lie. I thought I knew that I would eventually be able to improvise things, but I was very intimidated by the improvisation process when it comes to knitting. Now I'm way more comfortable with ripping back. I'm way more comfortable with making mistakes. And I'm like okay with starting something and then scrapping it later on because it just doesn't fit right. And so that's been a really cool thing. So while I don't recommend starting 9 projects over the course of a couple of months, some of these I started a little earlier, like my gray sweater and my February socks, but I just overall would not recommend this. However, you can learn a lot by doing all of this at once. And if you thought I had a lot of WIPs in past videos, it's just probably going to keep getting worse. And I'm okay with that. But all right. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked this video, please feel free to like it. If you want to hang out more and see future videos, please subscribe. And then leave me a comment. What are you working on right now? Are you a monogamous knitter? Do you tend to work on one project at a time, or 9 plus like me? And then what do you think about this sweater? What should I do? What's your thoughts? What's your advice? Am I silly for obsessing over it? Or is it silly to not just like go back and make it perfect because I can, or, you know, as perfect as it can be? You let me know. And I will hopefully see you in a future video. You all have a wonderful day. Okay, bye.